Hello, everybody. I am Chris Cuomo, and tonight we have a special show. We begin with a question. What would you do if your kid is in pain, very depressed, and said they hate their body? Not how it looks, but that it's not them. They are in the wrong body, and they're in distress for weeks, months. Would you roll your eyes and tell them, it'll pass? It's not natural to feel any way but how you're born, so deal with it. Or would you go right to a doctor and start a transition plan? My guess is, if it were your kid, you would likely do none of that. Like me, you would do a serious, if not desperate, dive into all available information, experts, doctors, figuring out how to get help for your kid. Because nothing would matter more than balancing how to help, whether it's therapy or medicine or whatever it is, whatever they tell you, whatever makes sense, how to help and how not to hurt your kid, especially at a tender age. Now, our politics lead us to do the opposite. The emphasis is on being contentious, not curious. So tonight, we're going to look at this issue of transgender kids and how to treat them as if they were all our kids. We're going to ask the questions that matter to the people who live the reality. Being transgender is not new. It's also not easy to be transgender, especially as a kid. In a recent study, just more than half of trans teens say they considered suicide. And now it's worse, as the trans community has been politically weaponized, specifically the safety of kids. That many are being raced down the road of treatment and change. So, how do doctors and experts decide what type of treatment is right and for what age? What are their concerns? What are their convictions and those of trans people and their parents? Now, one reason you likely don't know more is that we rarely discuss it. There is a fear, for some at least, that anything but unqualified acceptance of transgenderism will be considered hateful by the trans community and its allies. I get that fear, but I also get the instinct to combat ignorant attacks and animus against the community. The community is under attack, literally and politically. States are counting them and trying to limit treatment just for political advantage. That's scary. So let's lay out the realities, risks, and rewards. That is what we will start with tonight. For example, how many kids are we talking about? If we just look at how many teens, 13 to 17, identify as transgender, you're at about 300,000 out of 25+ million teens that age. Yes, we've seen an increase in diagnoses. Why? Because more doctors are aware, sensitive to it, and more kids are willing to express their truth or their distress. But of about 30,000 or so a year who are diagnosed, about 10 to 15% take medicines like hormones. A fraction of those have mastectomies, top surgery. Maybe a couple dozen teens actually have what's called bottom surgery. Now, for some context, did you know a lot more kids in that age range have breasts made bigger or smaller just as cosmetic surgery? And many more take hormones just to increase their height. Still, as you'll learn tonight, trans treatment is often more impactful and more risky than those other procedures. There are many who say treatments save their lives, but not all. There are also doctors who are worried about what they're seeing, situations they've had to stop or slow, and young people who decided too late that transitioning was not right for them. So, let's talk to people living the reality, treating kids and advising families as doctors, and parents hoping, just like you would, just like I would, that they're making the right choice for their kid. And we start with investigative correspondent Rich McHugh. He spent 6 months working on this report. You and I have worked together for a long time, Rich. And this is a tough one. You've got young kids. I've got young kids. We could see this as something that's a possibility. And we know a lot of the same people. And they said the same thing to us. Ooh, brother, you are walking into some dangerous waters on this. But you decided to do it because?
This past spring, I was looking at the kind of the data that had come out that said that, you know, the number of people, the number of youth that have identified as transgender has doubled. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And so I was like looking at this from afar. And then I was like, okay, I need to actually look at this so I can better understand it. And it took me a long time to kind of like understand the sides and what's going on. And as a father, I was like, I have real young kids. And so I was like, this is something I really need to pay attention to. I read a story from one of the girls we're going to hear from tonight, Helena. she transitioned, and then she detransitioned, and the written account that she wrote was just horrific. And I was like, wait a minute. And she talked about how she was receiving all sorts of vitriol for talking about it. And I was like, that shouldn't be. And so why is that? And I looked on Twitter, and there's all sorts of hate and things going on. I was like, this is something I got to cover. It's going to be scary, but it's going to be worth it.
So take us into the piece.
So what we're going to hear from is, the first piece is three doctors actually, but I tried to find the most sober voices in this conversation. And it took a long time to actually speak with these people, but doctors at the top of this field, they transitioned, they themselves have transitioned hundreds of teens themselves, and they support this, but they are also saying there's something wrong with how we're going about this. The meaning of gender-affirming care has been co-opted. And so they're all kind of on the same team, but they're saying, hold on, there's this schism in the thought leadership of how we're going about this. We say you need to pause.
Let's take a look.
When I started doing this work, gender-affirming care basically involved listening to the young person, trusting that they had a sense of who they were, and helping them sort out what was going to be best for them.
Dr. Laura Edwards-Leeper was the founding psychologist at the first pediatric gender clinic in the United States, Boston Children's Hospital. She has helped hundreds of children transition from one gender to another, like Noah Bartman's.
All my life, I felt kind of uncomfortable in my gender. I always felt like I fit in more with boys. It wasn't necessarily a feeling, it was just something that I felt I was.
Bartman's, now 18, says that 5 years ago he felt so uncomfortable as a girl he considered suicide.
I had a lot of mental health challenges, and I was taken to the hospital for suicidal ideation.
Tell me about that. What brought you to that point?
I felt that I couldn't live my life and go on and do the things that I enjoyed doing if I had to do it living as a girl.
After nearly 3 years of therapy and assessments, Bartman's had a double mastectomy.
I had top surgery, and it went really well, and I don't have any regrets. It improved my mental health a lot and my functioning as a human being in society.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
On the face of it, Bartman's case seems to support transitioning kids who want it.
Those who I have worked with for a longer period of time are generally doing well.
But today, Dr. Edwards-Leeper says gender-affirming care has been co-opted.
I do think that it has been hijacked. People have changed the meaning behind it. Some providers consider gender-affirming care to be a very fast-moving process to get the child to medical intervention. The field has gone completely off the rails in many respects.
A remarkable statement considering she's a world leader in transgender health. But recent data shows a massive influx of new young patients. Between 2017 and 2021, over 17,000 patients aged 6 through 17 initiated hormones or puberty blockers.
It appears that there are a lot of young people medically transitioning. I mean, that's certainly what I'm witnessing.
Are gender clinics overwhelmed?
I think they're extremely overwhelmed.
Is the healthcare community rushing youth and adolescents through this process too quickly?
I think in many places, yes.
Dr. Erica Anderson agrees. A clinical psychologist, she was the first transgender president of USPath and a former board member of WPath.
And I think we need to reevaluate how we're doing all of this.
You think we're moving kids and adolescents through this process too quickly?
I do. In many cases, by some people who are doing work in this area, where they say things like, if a child says they're trans, and I'll afford them the advantage of medicines. And I think I'm worried that in too many cases that they're not doing a proper evaluation. Parents have been telling me this for a couple of years. They come to me and they say, we went to a clinic, and in 15, 20 minutes they said, well, your child is trans, and this is the pathway to hormones.
15 minutes.
Yeah. And in some cases, even more deplorably, in my view, they do this privately with the child and then advise the parents after the session oh, well, we confirm that your child is trans, and we've talked to them about hormones without the parent there.
I do have colleagues who agree with all of this, but they're terrified to say anything.
This is really the most serious abandonment of scientific principles that I have seen in the medical profession.
This doctor is the chief medical director of a large children's health organization in the U.S., who would only speak to us anonymously for fear of losing his job.
Very reasonable physicians have spoken their mind about this, and they've lost their jobs, even people with tenure.
And you feel that would happen to you?
I'm almost certain of it. What is concerning to me here is that all dialogue, all reasonable dialogue is stopped.
In fact, the doctors say some providers scare parents, citing studies saying if they don't go along with the treatment, their child could commit suicide.
There are no studies that show that by intervening medically quickly, it will decrease suicide risk.
Too often, parents are told, well, you can have you can have a live child of a gender different than the one you thought they were, or a dead child of the gender you knew them to be. And to have that be used as a lever to force someone to concede to treatment that may or may not be appropriate, I think is unwise and borders on malfeasance.
We are talking about young people. We're talking about minors. I am very concerned about what's happening in the field, and I don't think that we're providing good care. And I'm concerned about potential harm being done, not intentionally, but I think that providers are not taking a step back and really questioning, why are we seeing these numbers? And why aren't we looking more closely to get an answer to that? Instead, we're just powering ahead, with treatment, and I think that's really problematic. But we also need to slow down and put the brakes on a little bit and take a minute to reflect on where we are and why we're here and what is the best path forward.
It's interesting to hear people who support this, support these kids, support the treatment, but have reservations, and yet that modified perspective makes them worried about losing everything. That doctor had to be in shadow, like guys when we do drug stories, who are worried about a cartel coming after them. How do you interpret that?
I've talked to over a dozen doctors and clinicians in reporting this story, and they are terrified to speak out. They couldn't, like the doctor in shadow. They'll lose their jobs. They're like, I want to speak in the worst way, but I'm the breadwinner, and if I open my mouth and speak honestly about this subject, I will lose my job.
And they are people who support trans kids
getting
work in
this field.
And even transitioning sometimes.
Yes.
So that's why we got to have the conversation. Rich McHugh, you'll be here. We're going to take a break. When we come back, you heard from 18-year-old Noah. I want to bring him on the show. And he's going to talk to you about what it's meant to him in his life, but what he also wants you to know about the reality. Also joining him is a doctor, one of the leaders in adolescent medicine. She knows the protocols and the guidelines, and she wants you to know why she believes we know how to do this the right way. Next. Welcome back to a special hour focusing on the treatment of transgender minors. Now, before the break, we heard from two doctors who believe in treating dysphoria and have definitely recommended transition in cases. But they also have concerns about the pace of treatment with certain kids, and that maybe sometimes you got to slow down, especially if kids are under 18. And yet they're so frightened to have to say that. Joining us now is another believer in treatment for these kids with a different perspective on the ability to get it right, Yale University School of Medicine Dr. Meredith McNamara. And also joining us, you met him in the piece, is Noah Bartman, who successfully transitioned as a teen as well. Thank you both. We were talking in the break that Noah shouldn't have to be brave to come on and talk about what you believe gave you the life that you want, that may have even saved your life because of how tough it was for you to be as you felt in the wrong body. How true is that you have to be worried about what people are going to say about you and your reality?
In this day and age, it's really true. I worry, mentioning, I waited 2 years to tell my best friends that I was transgender in high school. It's really politicized nowadays.
Is it getting any better?
Right now, I don't think it is. In certain areas, like I surround myself with people who are really affirming and nice, but you know, America's divided, and depending on where you go, people are just not as friendly about it.
Now, doctor, you see this from all sides, and you have confidence that the clinical community has the proper guidelines. Help people understand what the process is like when assessing how to deal with a kid's emotions, about their identity, the distress, the depression, you know, and any kind of symptoms, and how it works, and why you feel confident.
Well, I feel confident because, I mean, first of all, I'm deeply ingrained in this professional community, and I'm proud to work alongside my colleagues all over the country. The process depends on the person, so there is no one process. The process is one of an individualized approach that is nuanced and takes the family structure into account, takes the young person's goals and identities into account, and not everyone is in distress. I think that's something that that's kind of a misunderstanding. Not everybody shows up to the doctor, you know, on the verge of suicide unless they get some sort of treatment. There's so much diversity and joy in these experiences when space is held for who they are in clinical settings.
So it's everybody outside in their life that can make it hard on them.
Yeah, it's all
so you have a
external.
lot of people who come, and it's not, I'm going to die unless I do this. It's not in extremis.
No.
And in terms of the concern that, yeah, but when they're young, they don't know, and you should wait. We wait with kids on everything else. We don't like them make decisions about where they're going to go to college, let alone what their identity is. Response?
My response is that kids know their genders. Unequivocally, cisgender kids know their genders, and transgender kids know their genders, and there shouldn't be really a difference between them. Think about how sure you felt of your gender from some of your earliest childhood memories. It's no different. The confusion comes from external factors in our society that impose cisgender normativity on young people.
What do you say to parents who say, you know, but he'll figure it out, she'll figure it out, this is just a phase? What do you say?
Well, I invite parents to be a part of every single conversation and every stage of it. So there's no reproach, there's no alienation. It's really important for parents to realize that they're the single best asset for their child, and to empower them with the information that we have about transgender and gender diverse identities, that young people do know who they are. And we say, you know, one thing that I like to say is, like, what does it cost you to just affirm who they say they are?
So, right, the discussion gets more complicated when it's affirm plus let them take this hormone blocker or stall puberty, and they want to have a top surgery or a bottom surgery. That becomes more complicated for the parent, though, right? Because it has more implications for the kid's health. A lot of it's unknown about what it would mean.
I wouldn't say that a lot of it is unknown. You know, we are in a very exciting phase in gender affirming care where we're learning more and more all the time. It also happens to be a time when that care is sought to be banned in various states throughout the country.
Right.
And people are trying to ban it on the basis that we don't have enough information, supposedly, and that feels deeply hypocritical. Why introduce regulations and rules that limit our ability to provide care on the basis that maybe there are unknowns? It just seems like there's something missing there.
They'll say do no harm, which means do nothing.
Do nothing is doing harm.
And that's the counter. Now, you're shaking your head, Noah. It is case by case. Have you ever met a kid who was going through a process like you went through, and you counseled them as a friend about, here's what you need to know about yourself, or, you know, where it may not be for you just because it was for me? Have you ever had a conversation like that with any peer?
Yeah, I've definitely had friends where they thought being transgender was the answer to their depression or the way they felt, and speaking to them and being like, this is something I've felt for many years, and it's just, you know, an internal feeling like I am male, rather than I'm looking for a solution to some issue and I hope this is it. But usually with those friends, they haven't reached the point of like considering a medical transition. They're more in the like exploring their gender kind of phase.
And most are there, right? I mean, we make it sound like, we, hopefully not me, that's why we're doing the special, but that everyone who has a thought that maybe I'm in the wrong body is immediately on hormone blockers, immediately taking medicine, immediately getting ready for surgery. And it's actually a very small percentage who find the path of their fulfillment the way you did. And there is nuance and there's variability. And I appreciate you both. I hate that you have to be brave to have this conversation about who you are in a way that Meredith, the doctor, or I wouldn't have to be. You have to be brave also because the clinical community can be very divisive about this and qualified about what you say.
I'm not worried about the clinical community. I'm worried about the harassment and death threats that I get now for the work that I do and the way that some of my academic work has gained national notoriety.
Literally death threats, like you're doing something that's so wrong by helping these kids that bad things should happen to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very odd time that we live in, and I hate it, but I think we all know why it's happening. It's politicized. Trans kids are being used as political currency in debates to win votes, and the harms are widespread. We don't know how bad things are going to get from these laws, by the way.
Well, hopefully, we don't know that there will be laws. They have to be found constitutional. They have to make their way through legislatures. So hopefully there are fights to be fought to make sure that they're the right solution for any community. But look, here's what I know right now. Conversation is absolutely key. And thank you so much for being the example that you are. And thank you. I want you to come back after the next piece to talk about that aspect of how you figure out when a path is right or wrong for a kid and what those stages look like. I really appreciate it. That's what we'll do. This is a very small fraction of the transgender community we're going to be exposing to you, but their voices need to be heard. We have 3 teenagers who transitioned as minors, and as Noah and I were just talking, it's not the right move for everybody, but these kids made the move and then regretted it. And they call themselves detransitioners. Hear their story. We'll discuss the context. Welcome back to our special hour on the treatment of transgender youth in America. You've heard from doctors about the concerns of how much to treat and when to treat teens who suffer from body dysphoria. And of course, they do support the treatment of these kids and transition as well in cases. But there's another group that needs to be heard from. Back with me is NewsNation's investigative correspondent, Rich McHugh. Spent 6 months on this. And when it comes to, well, what do we want to look out for? You know, how bad could this get? That's where detransitioning comes in.
Right. So as part of looking into this story, I was like, I need to talk to as many trans people as possible. And I also need to figure out who is the most vocal and who's silent. So I started seeing people coming out on Twitter and social media detransitioning, talking about it and saying they've been silenced and they've been vilified. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make too much sense. They've gone through this. They have a right to speak. They need to be part of this conversation. And so you're going to hear from three stories, what they've gone through and their thoughts on, the road ahead.
Here we go.
Over the past decade, there has been as high as a 4,000% increase in children being referred to so-called gender clinics across the United States. I was one of these children.
18-year-old Chloe Cole came forward this year getting real about her transition to a boy.
How would you characterize the whole experience, what you've been through?
It was horrifying.
Cole says she always felt like a tomboy, but the idea to transition really started when she opened a social media account.
Very quickly after I made my account, actually, I started, the algorithm of Instagram actually started recommending me a bunch of, like a lot of LGBTQ content, particularly like trans-identified females who were around my age.
Cole says she went to see a therapist.
I was recommended to a gender specialist. It was kind of just like, oh, if you think you're this, then we'll say you're this.
Cole says that when her parents raised questions, the therapist turned up the warning.
They basically cited the high suicide rates amongst like trans-identified adolescents, and they basically said, would you rather have a dead daughter or a live son?
Had you expressed any suicidal ideation to anyone?
No.
Cole says it all happened fast from there.
I got my first blocker and testosterone shots at 13 years old. And it was at 15 that I decided that I went under the knife to get my mastectomy.
At this point, you were convinced that this was the right course of action for you.
I was convinced that I was actually a boy, even if I wasn't, even if my body was female, and nobody really questioned this belief at all.
At 16, she got a double mastectomy, and then she felt something creeping in. Regret.
I told my mom. I kind of just broke down crying to her one night about how this was the biggest mistake of my life.
Do you think you've been wronged by the healthcare community?
Yes.
Cole is now suing 3 doctors and the medical group that oversaw her hormone therapy and surgery.
I mean, my breasts are gone permanently. I have no idea about whether I'll be able to have kids.
Cole isn't the only one with regrets. Helena and Luca say their struggles with their gender began when they hit puberty.
I definitely believed I wanted a double mastectomy. It was something that I fantasized about all the time.
I started medically transitioning at 16. I got a double mastectomy before I was on hormones.
The 3 are part of a new, ever-growing group called detransitioners who have transitioned and then transitioned back.
I'll never be fully male. I'll never, at this point, there's no really going all the way back. And I don't know what to do.
For a while, I kind of talked to other trans people and they're like, oh yeah, just get surgeries and you'll feel so much better after you get surgeries. But that it didn't feel right. And eventually I just stopped the testosterone.
And how was it after you stopped?
All of these crazy symptoms that were happening to me that wound me up in the hospital completely stopped. I haven't experienced any of those things since stopping the testosterone. I also felt just incredibly lost because this was the way that I had been interpreting myself for about 5 years.
The voice of detransitioners now so loud, lawmakers, medical boards, even prominent doctors who promote transitions for kids are paying attention.
One thing we absolutely have to do is start learning from the detransitioners. There are more and more every day.
Dr. Laura Edwards-Leeper was the first clinical psychologist at the first gender clinic in the United States. She says the healthcare community is starting to conduct clinical research on detransitioners, but more needs to be done.
There are slowly studies being done, but those researchers are terrified to put their research out there. They are attacked unbelievably for even discussing that this is a possibility. But we can't do good clinical work if we don't understand and learn from them to know what did we do wrong.
For Chloe, Luca, and Helena, it's a matter of life or death for kids struggling there right now. Important enough for them to come forward and say, wait.
We as a society have seriously failed the youngest generation. And we can't blame them for that because they didn't, choose to feel this way at 14, 15 years old. But the medical model that we kind of funnel the troubled kids into just has no way of really addressing this on a deep level.
There's just no defending this. You cannot possibly defend sterilizing and then mutilating children.
All right, joining us now is one of the detransitioners you just saw in that piece, Luca, and one of the doctors whom we introduced you to early in the show, clinical psychologist, Dr. Erica Anderson. Detransitioner is not who you are and what you are. That is the role that you're playing in this story, and that's where it ends. In terms of people understanding your situation, do you believe that your predicament of deciding whether or not transitioning was right for you was about the process that got you into it, or was it that you had to change after transition?
I think it really came from the fact that since I transitioned so young, I grew up and I matured a bit more. And I really thought about my future in ways that I was just not capable of at the time of the medical interventions. I thought about do I want biological children? And I kind of had an oh shoot moment because I realized what could have been done. there and that I could have really damaged that chance, along with just like I said, really just getting older and growing up a little bit more and being able to actually process what these feelings were and where they originally came from, and like deal with stuff like my dysphoria and my depression and any other issues I had in a more mature way that in the long term I think will be better.
Your parents, speaking as a parent, they were very much, tell me if this is true, encouraged by the clinician that, hey, if you want to help your kid, you need to get down this road as far as you can, as fast as you can. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, they were told the fairly common line that I feel like parents hear now, that do you want a dead daughter or a living son? Pretty much like, well, here's the path we have laid out. If we don't follow it, there's a very good chance that your child will commit suicide, despite the fact that I did maintain throughout the entire thing that I was never suicidal. They still were pushed to believe that.
What do you think that was about?
I like to think that there is like a genuine sense of care in wanting to protect kids from being suicidal and like protect them from themselves if they are suicidal. But this can't be the right way to funnel kids that are like confused with their body or their gender down a course where, at least in my case, it very quickly turned to medical intervention.
Doc, you transitioned later in life.
Yes.
But from the lay perspective, well, you're supposed to want everybody to transition. You transitioned. Why would you ever think someone shouldn't transition? Look how happy you are.
That's true, except I'm a psychologist, so I have an obligation to do what's right for everybody that I see. And that's what I try to do. I want every child to get what they need. And the concerns I've expressed for a few years is that there's a rush to medicalization prematurely.
And because it's been politicized, we're so quick for some all, meaning everybody's like Luca, everybody's like Luca, every clinician's doing it wrong. You say no, that's not the case.
No, not every clinician is getting it wrong. But my concern is we've abdicated the historic importance of individualized evaluation in psychology and medicine for a cause of sorts. And every child is different, and they are needing an individualized approach. When you've seen one transgender person, you've seen one transgender person. You know, we're not all the same. We're not a monolith. And so I place my stock in doing a proper evaluation.
You know, one of the things that I was talking about with Rich when I was watching his reporting, there was this push that, oh, look, the left is running away with this. That's why you're seeing so many. These kids are being conditioned by propaganda that trans is cool and that's how you deal with your problems. I think it could have just as much to do with the pandemic, that you had so many of us, adults and kids, locked inside and online and depressed because of our conditions.
Yes.
That made people open to suggestion, maybe rightly or wrongly.
Absolutely. I've been talking and speaking about this for a couple of years. This extraordinary experiment we've all been subjected to has had some untoward effects. The mental health of young people has deteriorated. We know that objectively. Young people in historic proportions have latched onto a gender or sexual minority label and run with it. All the surveys in the last couple of years have shown that kids are experimenting with these labels in a way they never did before. Arguably, I'm seeing, as a psychologist for 40 years, the third generation of teenagers. I've never seen this dynamic at work in a group of teenagers like is present today.
We were talking before, everybody involved in this story, and to be honest, everybody's really on the same side, which is transgenderism is obviously real. It's not going away. It's very old as our cultures are. And treatment is right for some. Hormone blockers are right for some. Transition is right for some. But when you're dealing with kids, you have to be careful. And yet all of you get death threats. Yes. And how do you explain that quickly from you and from you?
Well, I've taken an unpopular position of being nuanced in the middle, trying to say, let's look at the facts. Let's look at what we know, and let's admit what we don't know. And people too quickly are willing to politicize
But you
these
don't
matters.
not believe in hormone blockers or not believe in anything.
I've recommended many kids to have hormone blockers and hormones, cross-sex hormones. I've served hundreds and hundreds of kids and their families. So I'm a believer in affirmative care when it's right for the right kid.
And you're just living your truth. You don't believe that there's no such thing as transgenderism or that nobody should transition.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like even sharing it is for some reason such an unpopular statement, because there is a certain level of people, just even clinicians, just being like, no, detransitioners don't exist. You just saw this with someone talking in DC to some sort of committee being like, well, in all of my years, I've never met a detransitioner, so I don't really think it's an issue. And so then when we do speak up, there is almost like a wave to be like, no, you need to be quiet, because even you talking is hurting people.
It's vilification of somebody who's had a challenging time, Luca and others. And I've been speaking out for a couple of years about the need for compassion with people on all kinds of gender journeys, wherever they may lead. And, you know, and there is a bit of a doctrinaire position on the far right and the far left. No trans care is appropriate for minors, or every child who says they're trans is trans. And both are wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what's right. You're speaking your truth. And that's all I'm a parent. Every parent just wants their kid to figure out what matters to them and to get there, even if it's a difficult journey, and it always is one way or another. I wish you well. And Doc, thank you very much for putting some nuance into a position where people don't really want it. It doesn't mean we don't have to hear it.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Appreciate you both. All right, let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to go back to Dr. Meredith, have her come in here and talk about the idea of gender-affirming care. How do we get to the place where we respect the need, but also the nuance? Next. I hope if there's one thing you take from the show tonight is that we got to be better to one another. Whether you don't believe in transgenderism or you believe that any discussion about transgenderism that isn't complete acceptance, no matter what your positions is, you can't be threatening to kill people who disagree with you. And everybody on this show tonight shares that. And they're all on the same team. They all believe in this. Got to be better. I have a caller right now named Jenny from Dayton, Ohio, who's the mother of 2 daughters. They're now 22 and 24. They transitioned at 14 and 16. Jenny, thank you so much. I appreciate you participating, and I hope that what you heard tonight you believe is helpful.
Yes, I do, and thank you, Chris, for bringing this to light, because this is so long overdue.
Jenny, here's the thing I just can't get my arms around it, and I'll talk about this with Dr. Meredith McNamara after you. 74% of Democrats and Republicans right now say what's happening in Texas and in Florida in terms of seeming to target the transgender community is wrong.
It is wrong. They're going to have a lot of suicides on their hands.
God forbid. But if we're all like kind of in the same place, why all these death threats? Why is it that you can't show a picture of your kid? We got to be careful with your name. They're living their lives, but they're so worried about how they'll be perceived. How do you process that?
I think it's a generational thing. I think that you look back and to think that, oh my gosh, this person is dressing as a man or dressing as a woman, that is unheard of. And then people also go back to the Bible and quote these, scriptures, and and I think some people just have hate in their hearts.
I think a lot of it is ignorance. I hope more of it is ignorance,
yes.
and that this is unfamiliar, so therefore it's easy to have it misconstrued as wrong. But when you talk to other parents,
they choose to stay ignorant. They choose to stay ignorant as well.
Right. That's a fair point. But I know that when you speak to parents and they're like, oh, my kid's like your daughters, and I need to do the same thing you did, you caution them that, hey, look, every kid is different. And just because a kid tells you that they are feeling a certain way doesn't mean that you automatically know what to do. It's difficult.
Right. I'm in a lot of children's hospital, Facebook pages. And the thing that I get the most is when the child comes out, no matter what the age is, and the parents have a hard time, or the grandparents, or the cousin, the sister, whatever, they say, I'm not going to use those pronouns. I've always used these pronouns. I'm not going to accept this. And my thing is just what they just said before me. I always tell them, does this person want to go visit this child alive, in person, or do they want to go visit this child at the grave? Because if you don't accept your child, believe your child, listen to your child, that child is just going to shut up and go back into a shell, and they're not going to be able to come out, and it's just going to cause depression, anxiety, suicide, all those negative feelings.
I appreciate your perspective. The best to your family. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, too.
I hope you're all together and happy. Doc, I want to end on you. Look, medicine, especially in this area, is not one size fits all. How do we get the discussion to a better place that you can be concerned about kids, and we have to be careful about kids more than adults. Adults make their decisions. Kids are not great at making decisions for themselves. But that's something that you negotiate. They can know what their gender is, but not know the right way to incorporate it into their life, right? And how do we get to a better place of understanding that it is hard and you have to figure it out and there are risks?
Well, first of all, I do kind of want to push back against the concept that kids don't know best for themselves in some ways, and in a lot of ways, actually. So as an adolescent medicine specialist, I really do believe in the kind of like personhood of adolescents and their ability to express their identities.
Oh, I agree. I'm saying how to treat it is what I'm saying.
Well, how to treat it is a three-way conversation. So where we move forward, I think, should be that the state needs to get out of parent, patient, and pediatrician relationships. That interposing themselves in that really sacred triad is dangerous. It stokes public fear, and it just turns the volume up on a situation where really we don't need other people's opinions.
Well, certainly you should be practicing medicine in a way that is satisfying to your institution and to your patients, not to the politicians all around you. But I'll tell you something. I know that that this is dicey territory and people come after you. I appreciate you having the conversation. And I appreciate you here always to have the conversation, because we're going to continue it. This is just the first step. Dr. McNamara, I wish you the best for the holidays.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much. Everybody, I appreciate you. We'll be right back.